thanks for sending me the message yesterday about the change in title for your paper horses.
I've just sent you the new file.
Has the contents changed at all, or it has?
The introduction's changed a little bit because I found out a lot more about the origins of this collection. 42, one of the spirit of the five ways. There's actually two spirits of the five ways, and I misidentified it. Very much a newcomer to the study of Chinese deities, I'm still quite chuffed if I can identify them correctly. So I know relatively little about them, and one of the reasons for doing this book was really to inform myself more about the deities in the first place. So learning a lot from your YouTube channel.
Oh no, not at all.
And the various people that I'm, I've been lucky enough to meet people like Ronnie Pinsler.
Oh yes, Ronnie Pinsler.
I visited him a couple of times in Penang. And well, Keith Stevens I knew. Who I didn't know him very well, but I met him a few times. I visited his house, and he showed me his collection.
Oh yeah, his collection would be insane.
And explained some of the stories behind them.
James Camp or Jim Camp.
Yeah, well, I've been in touch with Jim. I've never actually met him, but again, he sent me a lot of material, as I think he sent you as well.
Oh, so, yes. Have you seen the T-shirt he sent me?
Exactly. Yeah. I think I might have one in the post.
Oh, really? Me too.
He has sent me some stuff recently. I was sort of hoping if he had, I could have.
Oh, we should have worn the same T-shirt together.
Might have been a bit creepy.
Creepy.
I've got an awful lot of tiger stuff anyway.
Yes.
I've got a bit of an interest in the iconography of tigers.
So I was reading about your articles on tigers, that's why, and that really drew me to your book, and the whole idea of paper horses or zima, why they're being named that, and that being about them praying, carrying the prayers or the wishes of people to, or the devotees to the deities. That's actually really interesting.
Well, that's something that was I was in touch with the Royal Ontario Museum, who've got an identical collection to mine. We're discussing the origins, perhaps, of the sets, and they were very keen to make a distinction between. They said this isn't a collection of Dharma because, in fact, it's got two kitchen gods in it, and they're not Dharma because, as far as they're concerned, I suppose the idea is that the Dharma are really like letters. You're sending the picture of the deity is not actually an incarnation of the deity. It's more like a postal address. So you're burning it so it goes to the right.
Carrying your wishes up to the deity itself. It's not, like I said, as far as they're concerned, that the door gods are mentioned. So they're more like Dafu or Shenma in terms of, where they're like iconography where they pasted on places in the home or kitchens and stuff like that, isn't it?
Well, the idea is that obviously the kitchen god is up for a year. It's really a representation of an incarnation of the kitchen god of Daojun. So their take on it, but then the reason they were very surprised because, in fact, from their collection, it's missing the two kitchen gods prints that are in mine. And so they were very surprised to find that these two were in my collection because they said they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. This is so. I think there has to be some flexibility in
I think so.
And also some of the Dharma were in fact pasted up in the home. The one for smallpox and various childhood illnesses had actually been pasted up and put there for a while. So maybe more, maybe you have to have some sort of flexibility of interpretation. And it seems like I wasn't aware of this beforehand, but with my original introduction, it's one of the corrections I've made to it was that this would have been this set would have been sold as a set originally,
Right.
of say, I think technically they were called 100 God sets, but of course they didn't literally have 100 gods in it.
Yeah.
And they were really just to burn at the new year. So rather than you painstakingly burning one after the other, you bought these.
The whole set. Oh, right.
And so in one go, you could just say, right, I've said thank you to everybody. So
yes. Right.
So there is quite a distinction in quality between some of the. So you find Duma in really nicely printed ones with multiple colors, very carefully printed, like a normal woodblock print.
Yeah.
And then you find these ones which are very roughly printed.
Yeah.
And some of them are even, as you've seen the set, some of them are not even squared properly. The bottoms are missing off the print because they haven't put the paper very carefully on it.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of them are, though not in this set, but there were even ones where they only just basically printed the top half of the Duma.
Yeah.
They just literally just printed a strip which just included the name and the top half of the print. And stuck them all in the packet because they were never going to be looked at. These are just they were sold as a packet. Nobody was ever going to take them out of the packet.
Yes, that makes sense. And then just because it's going to be burnt as the whole pack, no one's going to go through hundreds of them just to see, oh, this one's for who and this one's for who. Right.
And you have to, I suppose you have to look at the printing process that these were, of course, made literally in their millions upon millions. I mean, across China every year. And the speed, this isn't a printing press where you just put the paper in one end of a machine and it all comes out the other. They were all done by hand. And I've actually watched printers do this by hand, even in on the edges of Tibet in western Sichuan. I've been to Durga Monastery, where they still print prayer sheets the same way. And although they're quite fast, they can print maybe 10 pages a minute, which actually, if you're going,
that's really fast.
That's a lot. It's a lot of print. So, but you haven't got time to worry about the quality control. If you're just printing these things up so that they're all going to be burned in one set. To print them accurately, to size up the paper, to print in multiple colors, it takes a long time. You're talking about, instead of a few seconds to make a print, you're talking about a minute or 2 minutes. And there just isn't the time to do that. So I think these packages were very crudely printed. There wasn't any interest in making them works of art, as it were. But there's a lot of the quality of the printing as well. Some of the prints are over inked, so that when they stick the paper on, you just get smudged. And some of them they haven't put enough ink on, so you get dry areas. Obviously very, very heavily used. There's the wood blocks disintegrate just from overuse.
I can imagine.
In a lot of cases, there's gaps in the the lines. There's gaps in the So I think one of the I've got the album here. Just look at one of the very early ones. Yes, the Dragon King. I can't see very
I can see that.
It's appallingly printed. I mean, it's really almost invisible. And all the color on these is just put on by hand. You can imagine somebody.
It's just someone just doing a stroke of red and purple. This way, and that's it, isn't it?
And as you probably realize from this, the thing that's led me to Chinese gods at all is, in fact, my interest in folk art and woodblock printing more than anything. So I'm actually very interested in the process of woodblock printing, and this is why I started in the mid-1990s while I was traveling in China researching guidebooks. Why I started collecting these woodblock prints, as I came across a market in Guangzhou where they were selling, they just at New Year, and they just had hundreds and hundreds of prints for sale. And I found out later they were from a studio in Foshan.
Oh, in Foshan, right.
Foshan. And this studio just sort of resurrected itself after a gap of about 20 years after the 1960s, when the studio was destroyed, of course. And the son of the original studio owner who used to work with his father, but his father had just died, and he felt that in his memory it was only right that he should try and resurrect the family business. He'd actually been working in construction for 20 years, and he went back and opened up the studio, and this was probably the first batch of these new prints that had come out. From the studio reopening in the mid to late 1980s. But anyway, I didn't know that at the time. I just bought these woodblock prints, and then wherever I was in China where I saw these at markets, I would buy them. And as you know by now from my Flickr account, I've got probably a couple of hundred woodblock prints of from China. They're not all of deities, and my interest in deities came because I was trying to understand what I had, rather than just collecting the prints willy-nilly. I wanted to know. I'm interested also in iconography and folk in Chinese folk art. So I had to know what the prints were of course. So I had to start learning about the deities involved. But at the moment, I'm still very much in the process of, as I said, I'm quite excited if I can even identify a
particular deity.
I don't know huge amounts of the. I know very little about the religious practice, which is what your YouTube channel has been informing me of, and I found incredibly useful there. It's, I'm still at the stage where just learning about the histories of the deities involved, and I wrote this book partly to teach myself a bit about the histories and the complexity, really, of the Chinese folk religion. Obviously a very big can of worms I've just opened.
I think you have, because the like just Taoism itself, the Taoism, the pantheon of deities are intriguing. They've got deities for everything, like you mentioned, smallpox, but there's a smallpox female deity as well. And
brother, sister,
yes, the brother and sister
and brother smallpox.
Yes, and brothers. I know. So when I read that, I'm like, oh my goodness, what else are there? And there's deities for toilets.
That's it.
And the beds for the Mr. and Mrs. for the bedroom. It's just insane. I think you have opened a can of worms.